in the chat box, please. I just want to make sure the audio is working. Okay, great. Looks like you guys can hear me.
I can't get to the chat box, but I can hear you.
Okay, great. I've got it in Q&A mode, which means that you guys can mute and unmute yourselves as you wish, so that you can ask questions for those of you who, can't chat on the chat box. I do ask, of course, that if you're not actively asking a question, that you do mute your phone just so that any background noise won't disturb everyone else. And also sometimes it creates static. So thank you for being here on sort of short notice. We kind of put this together a little bit last minute because we had a request for it, and it is something that we've heard other people would like assistance with, so we figured we would just go ahead and give this to whoever wants it at this time, and then we'll probably redo this training sometime in 2017, and it's also going to be recorded so that if you ever want to go back and look at it as a reference or share it with other folks in your chapter or your network, you can do that. I see there are a few people who are on the phone and maybe not online. That's okay, but I do want to let you know that it's going to be very visual because I'm going to be showing you exactly how to go in and do some of these things. So it's going to be a lot easier to follow if you are or can be in front of a computer, whether that's a computer or an iPad or whatever it is that you use, or if maybe you can even look at it on your smartphone. I'm not sure how that works, but it would be helpful for you to be able to see. But if you want to just listen along and see what you can figure out, that's fine too. So this, I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. This is Jennie Smith-Camejo with Positive Women's Network USA. I recognize most of the names on here, if not all of them. So I'm happy to connect with all of you today for this really exciting training on Google tools. Being a little facetious, but it is actually, they are really useful. So I'm not sure this is the most entertaining webinar that you'll ever participate in, but hopefully it will be helpful, especially if, this is something that you've been trying to do and haven't really been clear on how to do. So, and I have several places in here that are built in question time. So when we get to those slides, please feel free to unmute yourself to ask a question or put it in the chat box. And also, actually, let me just explain quickly the way we're going to do this. So there's about 30 slides where I'm going to just kind of give an overview of some of the Google tools that are most commonly used. And then I'm going to go into screen sharing mode and do some of the things that I'm talking about so you can kind of watch in real time. And then I also have a sort of homework assignment, which of course is not mandatory, but if you want to kind of practice what we're talking about on here, that I'm going to give you sort of an exercise that you can use, and that way hopefully you can make sure that you've figured out how to do the things we're talking about. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. So this is all about Google tools. So it's not just Google Docs, but also the Google Drive, Google Sheets, Google Presentations. Actually, I think now they call it Google Slides. So there's this whole sort of system of tools that are built in and that integrate with each other. And for those of you who use Android phones, you can actually, these tools are built into your phones, and I think all of them are accessible through iPhones as well. So if you are a smartphone user, you should be able to use these from your phone or your tablet as well as from your computer. Okay, so we'll just start quickly with the Google Drive, because that's sort of the basis of all the other tools, and it's how you're going to organize yourselves. And so basically, if you don't already know what the Google Drive is, the Google Drive is a cloud storage service that allows you to store documents, photos, videos, and all kinds of other stuff in one place. And from the Drive, you can also access Google Docs, which you can use to create, share, and collaborate on documents, spreadsheets, presentations, and other stuff from anywhere while you are online. So just a quick show of hands in the chat box for those of you who are in front of the computer. How many of you guys currently use a Google Drive in some way, shape, or form? Okay, I see Alicia does. Bonita does. Okay, Janet does not. I'm just trying to kind of, Tammy loves it. So I see some folks are already using it. So you probably are already somewhat familiar with it. If you have never used it before, that's fine too. We're going to kind of take a look at how it works. So what does it mean? What is the cloud? So actually, let me go back to this one. So basically, cloud storage, it just means that that the things that you're saving are not being saved to your individual computer or device, but rather they are saved on what they call the cloud. So it's sort of the internet network. It doesn't mean that just anyone can access it, though I know there are some security and surveillance concerns, especially in this political climate right now. But for the most part, you would need your password to access it. So this is a way of storing things in such a way that if you, let's say your computer is to break down or your phone breaks or gets stolen or whatever the case may be, that you do not lose all of these things. And so I actually recommend using a cloud storage service, whether it's Google Drive. Dropbox is another option, which you can get a free account through Dropbox as well. But it's really a good option to back up things that you don't want to lose. For example, photos, any important documents that you have saved on a computer. It's really good to back those up on a cloud storage because that way you won't lose them if something happens to the device. And I learned this the hard way several years ago. Our house got broken into and they stole both of our laptops. And the laptops themselves were pretty much worthless, but they had all of our pictures on them. They had some important documents that we didn't have anywhere else. And so those were things that we never were able to recover, like hundreds and hundreds of pictures that we lost. The only ones that I still have from several years are the ones that were on Facebook. So just, one concrete example of why it's a good idea to use a Google Drive or Dropbox or some kind of cloud storage system to back up anything that's important to you. Okay, so then to get practical, how to use the drive. Okay, so it's the most basic, easy way to go into it is just to go to google.com. There's a more complete address you can use, but if you go to google.com, you will get to a place where you can access all of the Google tools, including the drive. So when you go to google.com, this is you'll see your search engine over here in the middle of the screen, and up in the upper right-hand corner, you're going to see a box of 9 squares, and those are called the Google Apps Launcher. So you'll see a sign-in, you'll see Gmail, images, you'll see these little 9 squares. If you click on that little 9 square box, that's how you're going to find the Google Drive. Are there questions so far? I know we just started, but if anyone is confused yet, let me know now. We'll continue. So now that you've opened that little launcher, you're going to see several options, and these are some of the Google tools. So you see Maps, you see Calendar, you'll see your Gmail, you'll see a Drive. So you want to select the drive because that's what we're going to look at now, and you're going to sign in. So the second little screenshot you see up here is a sign-in. Now, at this point, let me see okay. This is your sign-in. At this point, I'll let you know how many of you guys already use a Gmail address. You can just put it in the chat box if you already use one. Yeah, I see a lot of you do, which is great. If you do not already use a Gmail address, I highly recommend setting one up if you are going to use the Google tools, because you can use some of them without Gmail, but it's a lot more difficult. I think I've had problems trying to do that, so I recommend setting one up. And if you do not want it to be your primary email, that's fine. When I go into screen sharing mode, I'm going to show you how you can set up your Gmail to forward to another account. And that way, if someone shares something with you, you'll get notified, but you don't have to use the Gmail as your main email if you don't want to. So you'll go ahead and sign in, or from this page, you can also create an account. So if you see underneath that box, it says create an account. So if you don't already have a Gmail address, you could go there to create an account, and it'll just give you instructions from there. So you would go ahead and sign in, and then you're going to see something that looks like this. This is my drive. So you'll see there's a whole bunch of folders here. And where you see the folders where it looks like there's a little person on the folder, those are shared folders. So that means that I have it and also other people have access to it or created it and shared it with me. In fact, I think those are the ones that, yeah, some of them are ones that were shared. I think those are the ones that were shared with me. And you'll see here the owner, that's who started that folder and shared it with other people. Okay, and so if you're looking for something in your drive and you can't find it, there is a handy-dandy search bar at the top of the screen. So if you know that you are looking for something, say, around the election, you could type election into the search drive and it would pull up any files or folders that you have that have the word election in them. And so as you see, all the folders here contain documents and presentations and spreadsheets that are saved to my drive. Are there any questions so far? Okay, cool. So moving along, if you want to create something new, whether it's a folder, a new document, a spreadsheet, or a presentation, there is this blue button up in the left-hand corner of your screen when you're on the Drive page, and it says New. And this is what, if you're going to click that to create a new folder, to create a new document, whatever it is that you are trying to create. Okay, and then you're going to see here, if you want to upload documents or spreadsheets to your Drive, or that you want to share with other people from your Drive, what you can do is go to My Drive, and then there's a drop-down menu like the one you see here, and where it says Upload Files, you can put anything in your Drive. So it doesn't have to just be Google Docs and Google Sheets. You can also put photos, you can put videos, you can put Word documents. You can store pretty much, I think, anything you want in your Google Drive. So you don't have to create things directly out of the Google Drive. You can just upload things that you want in there, and that way you can share them with other people, or you can just keep it to yourself but have it backed up in the cloud. Okay, and then like I was showing you a second ago, these, on that same page where you see the folders and the documents, you're going to see the owner. So if it says me, that means it's your file, your folder, you created it. And then if it has another name, that means that somebody else created it and shared it with you. And then when you see last modified, that will show you basically how old the file is, or at least when the last time changes were made to it was. And then to create a document, so what you'll do is you'll go to that blue New button that we saw a second ago, and you'll click on that. And then if you want to create a document, like a Word document type of word processing document, you'll hit Google Docs. If you want to create a new spreadsheet, you can click Google Sheets. And if you want to create a new presentation like a PowerPoint, you'll hit Google Slides. And then those things that whatever it is that you're creating is automatically going to be stored in your Drive if you're doing it from this page. Okay, and then in terms of deciding what you want to create, there's a few more options here. There's Google Forms, which you'll see over the second drop-down menu. That is useful for creating like sign-on forms if that's something that you're interested in doing with your chapter or with another organization that you're trying to either collect information from people, like they're registering for something, or you're getting them to sign on to a letter. You can use Google Forms. And then there's Google Drawings. I'm not even really sure what that is. I've never used it. So there's a few different things. The ones that I've used the most often by far are Google Docs and Google Sheets. And I've used Google Forms a number of times as well. So if you're wondering, if you're not familiar with these and you're wondering what is a Google Doc, well, a Google Doc is basically Google's free version of Microsoft Word. So I'm sure everyone here is familiar with Microsoft Word. Google Docs work in pretty much the exact same way, except that they're stored online. And one really cool thing about Google Docs is that they save automatically and continuously, so you don't have to keep remembering to hit save. And that means that you're not risking losing your work. If you step away from the computer, or if your computer has a problem, or you go offline or whatever, your work should still be saved. And that's true for all of the docs and sheets and slides. So that's a really cool feature. And it also allows you to share things with people easily, which we'll see in just a second. And then you've got Google Sheets, which is basically Google's free version of Microsoft Excel. And then you've got Google Slides. I think it used to call it Presentation. Now it calls Google Slides, and that's basically Google's free version of PowerPoint. Are there any questions so far? Okay, hearing none, we can continue. So this is just a quick screenshot of a Google Doc. So as you can see, it looks like Microsoft Word, very similar format. And then as you see here, you've got a similar toolbar from Microsoft Word. So at the bottom of the screen is a screenshot from Microsoft Word. The top of the screen is a screenshot from Google Docs. So it looks very similar. It has most of the same features and functions. It works pretty much the same way, actually pretty much exactly the same way, except that it's online and saves automatically. And then this is a Google slide. So as you can see, it looks pretty much like PowerPoint, very similar. And the same thing here. So this is a Google slide up here at the top, and then there's PowerPoint down here at the bottom. Oh, and thank you. I see Alicia is right. Google Drawings allows users to collaborate and work together in real time to create flowcharts, organizational charts, website wireframes, mind maps, concept maps, and other types of diagrams. Wow, that's cool. Alicia, you know more about this than I do. I'm going to have you present this next time. That's awesome. I want to check it out now. I had not actually really seen that until, oh, she Googled it. Okay. I had not even really seen the drawing until I was putting this presentation together, but it actually sounds kind of cool, so I might need to check that out, it sounds like. So you'll see the PowerPoint setup here for Google Slides is pretty similar. And then this is a Google Sheet. It looks pretty much just like Excel. I think it does have, it doesn't have quite as many functions as Excel from what I've been told. I don't use Excel all that much other than for just, you know, storing information like addresses and phone numbers, that kind of data. I don't really use it a lot for using formulas, so I'm not sure exactly what all the differences are, but I know it does most of the same formulas as Excel if you're someone who uses Excel for mathematical purposes, for example. And so you've got similar toolbars, most of the same functions. Okay, are there any other questions, or sorry, any questions so far? There's a lot of question slides built in here. Okay, so moving on, sharing documents. So this is actually one of the really nice features of all of the Google Docs, is that it's really easy to share things with people in such a way that you can collaborate on them in real time. So for, we'll look at, and I'll show you an example when I share my screen as well, but right now, as you can see here, so you're typing something and then you want to share it with somebody that you're working with on this document. There is a blue share button up in the upper right-hand corner, and if you click on that, it's going to tell you, first of all, if you haven't already named your document, it's going to ask you to name your document. And so you'll put the name in there and hit save, and then you're going to get a screen like this, the share settings. And so if you want to invite people to collaborate with you, you'll do this at the bottom of the screen. And so you'll enter their email address. If they are already saved to your contacts, if you have a Gmail and they're saved to your contacts, they'll probably start popping up automatically and you can just select them. And you're going to have a little thing, well, actually I think the next slide shows that. Okay, here you go. So you have an option of how much access you give collaborators. So you can choose either can edit, can comment, or can view. So if you want to share something you've written with other people, but you don't want them to go in and make changes, you're going to hit can view. If you want to let them make comments but not actually change what's on the page, you can hit Can Comment, and then if you want them to be able to change things, you would click Can Edit. I would just advise being careful about giving editing privileges to anything important, just because someone can go in and change it. Now, you can go back and look at the revision history, which I'll show you in a few minutes, but it's actually a lot. It's kind of easy to get lost in that, so I would not give editing privileges unless you're totally okay with people changing what you've already written. Okay, so now I'm going to go into screen sharing mode and show you a little bit of doing this in real time. So let me share my desktop. It looks like it's starting up here. And that is my PowerPoint right there. Can everybody see my, sorry, that was not supposed to be up there either. Sorry. Okay, can everyone see my desktop at this point? It's not supposed to be there either. Sorry, all kinds of weird things are popping up. All right, so I'm going to open a new tab. And I just want to make sure that you guys, okay, you guys can see it, cool. All right, so what I'm going to do is exactly like what we just talked about in this. So I'm going to go to google.com. Actually, I was already on Google, sorry. So you see this little, the 9 square thing here. I'm going to click that. That's my launcher. And I'm going to go to the drive. So since I was already logged in before, I logged myself out, I'm going to put in my password and log in. And now you can see my Google Drive. Okay, and so the first thing I'm going to do in here, just to give an example, I'm going to first create a new folder. So I'm going to go to New, and the New Folder. And I'm going to title this Google Tools Presentation. Okay, so I created a new folder. And now I'm going to open it up. There's nothing in here yet. But, so you see here, you've got, what do I want to do? Well, what I want to do is create a new document. So I'm going to go here to the New and then Docs. And because I had that folder open, I'm pretty sure that this document is actually going to already be in that folder, but I'm going to check in just a second. So here I am working this. This is my presentation about using Google Tools. I hope it is useful for everyone. Please let me know if you have questions. Okay, so now I've written something. I see here that there's a little folder, so I want to check where this document is right now, and it shows that the file is in my folder that I just created. That's because I created this file while I had that folder open, so that's perfect. That's where I want it to be. But if I wanted to put it somewhere else, I could click this, and I'll show you that in just a second. So let me go ahead and title this. If you just click on that, it's going to actually name it whatever the beginning or your first sentence is, but that's not what I want it to say. I'm just going to put practice 1, and then I hit enter or return, and that titles it for me. So now I've got this in my folder, as you can see. And so now I'm going to share this file by typing in the name of the person that I want to share with. So I want to share this with Wahida. So I start typing, and Wahida comes up. There she is. Okay, and then I'm going to say this is just practice, and I'm going to hit send. Okay, and now I've just shared it with Wahida. So what that means is Wahida is going to get an email, and it's going to have a link to that file, and then she can open it, and she can go in here, and she can look at it, and depending on, let's see, what we were, so I think I had it on editing, so she will be able to edit it. Now, if I want to send it, let's say I want to send it to Cammie. Okay, she's on here. This is just practice. but I want Cami only to be able to look at it. I don't want her to be able to change it. I'm going to click can view. And now that means she can see it, but she can't change it. And I'm going to hit send. And now Cami can see it. Wahida can see it and she can edit it. Cami can just see it, but she cannot edit it. Okay, and just to show you quickly another thing you can do with comments. So if somebody, for example, sends you a document and you want to, you want to comment on it and you have that privilege, you can highlight what you want to comment, and now what you've highlighted is going to have this little box next to it when someone looks at it and say, I have a question. How do you use this thing? And I hit comment. And so when anyone else who has privileges to look at this file sees it, they're going to see that comment and they're going to see who wrote it. And then they can answer it in another comment. And if they answered my question, then I can mark resolve, and that just removes that whole conversation. So this is really useful when you're collaborating on a document together. And so maybe, you're working on, let's say you're working on a statement together or a letter, and you have an idea, but you're not sure if the person who wrote it is going to like your idea. Rather than just going in and editing it and changing what they wrote, you might just want to put a comment and say, hey, I think, what if we say it like this? And that way they have an opportunity to, accept or reject that change before you've actually gone in and changed anything. And just to show you how things save and how you can recover your work if someone else does go in and change it or accidentally delete it, which does happen sometimes, especially if there are a number of people working on the same file. Up here where it says all changes saved in Drive, if you click on that, you'll see the revision history. So this is, I started it at 123 and there was nothing on the page. And then at 126, this is what was there. So if I wanted to go back to nothing being on the page or whatever there was at 123, I can click here and then I would click restore this revision. And now, whoop, it's all gone. But if I want to say, oh, I didn't really mean to do that, I actually did want what I wrote on there, then I can go back into the changes, click restore this revision, and up, it's back. Okay, so that's how you can see what's happened and recover any work that may have accidentally gotten changed or deleted. Does anyone have any questions so far? I see a question from Janet saying, what is the maximum number you can share with? Will this be good for taking notes during a conference call of about 30 people? That's a really great question. So I don't think there's a limit on how many people you can share it with, at least not that I know of. I think you could share it with that many people if you wanted. You certainly can. The only drawback I see of sharing with that many people is that the more people you have working on a document, the more chances there are of people accidentally deleting things or changing things that you didn't want changed. So, for example, I used to, initially I was doing the notes for our Strategic Communications Action Team meetings on Google Docs. I still do them on Google Docs, but I used to give editing privileges to everyone who had the link. And what would happen was sometimes people would accidentally delete things from the agenda or delete notes that other people had written. And though I was able to go in and recover them the way I just showed you, it's really not convenient to have to do that. So I would just advise caution. Sometimes what we'll do is if we're on a big conference call, for example, if a couple of PWN staff are on a big conference call with other organizations, we will have one Google Doc with notes just for the PWN staff. So it might be, Nana and Arnita and myself on that Google Doc, but we haven't shared it with everybody on the conference call. And that way, we kind of have more control over who's putting things in there and who's editing. So you can do it with a large number of people. You might just want to be a little bit careful about that. And that's one place where it might come in handy to use that can comment function, because that way you could allow people to give input without allowing them to actually change what's on the page. And then I see Eva asked if I can do that again, please. Eva, what would you like me to do again? Oh, the comment part. Okay. So yeah, so what to do a comment, what you'll do, I just highlight whatever it is, whatever part I want to comment on, and then you can actually, this just popped up, so you can add a comment. You can also go up to this little box up here that says comments, but I can just do that, and then just type a comment. What do you mean? Comment. And then anyone who has access to the file will see my comment. And they'll see what was highlighted, so they'll know what I was commenting on. Does that make sense? Okay, good. Okay, and so another way of sharing, so I already showed you sharing using just putting in people's email addresses. There is another way that you can share, and I use this one a lot. So this is to get a shareable link. Okay, and so what this does, it gives me a link. Here I can change the access, so I can, again, make it where people can edit, comment, or view. And so for this, let's say, can comment. And so now I'm going to copy the link. And what I can do is, I'm going to go to my Gmail now. Okay, and I am going to start a new email. And let's say I want to send this to the communications work group, the SCAT. I'm going to put that in the, I'm going to say notes, whatever my subject line is. And then I am going to paste the link I just copied. And so this is the link that people can use to access that document. And because of the privileges that I set where they can comment only, it means they can look at it, they can put comments, but they cannot edit it. Okay, and so if I wanted to give other people, let's say I want to give some other people a chance to edit, then I'll go in here. I have to change this because it's going to be a different link. And now I can copy that link, and I'll go back to my email and edit, use this link, and there you go. But I'm not really going to send this because it would confuse people, so I will throw that away. But that is, you know, one way, another way of sharing, and it's good if you, for example, want to write a longer email and you just want to include the link. For example, when I send out email reminders about SCAT meetings, I put the link to the Google Doc in the email because I'm also putting some other stuff. Plus, I send it to a whole list, so it makes it easier to send to a list if I just have the link rather than having to put in everybody in the group's email address. So those are two different ways depending on how many people you're sharing with. So usually if I'm just sharing with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, I'll put it in here. And then if I'm sending to a larger list, I do it out of the shareable link area. Okay. Are there any questions so far? Bonita says, I have folders in Yahoo that I want to transfer to Google Docs. How do you do that? I'm not, when you say Yahoo, are you talking about your email or some kind of file storage system? In your email. So are you, I'm still a little bit confused. So are you, do you mean like emails that you have or just things that, like documents that have been sent to you by email? Okay, documents that you have saved. Okay, so what you would just do is you would go and open those documents, and just to give you an example, let's see, if I go back to my drive here, I'm just going to go back to my drive, and let's say I want to upload a file that I have saved somewhere else. So if you, for example, if it was in your Yahoo, the best thing to do is to download it from that email so that it's saved on your computer, and then you'll go to upload files, and you can, for example, look in your downloads, and let's see, I'm just going to choose something random. Okay, and then I'm going to hit open, and now it's uploading this PowerPoint presentation into my Google Drive. And you can see the progress over here. It's still working. Taking a long time. Depending on the size of the file, it may be slow or fast. And now it's uploaded. Okay, and so now, let's see if I can find it in here. So as you can see, I don't have the most organized Google Drive in the world. And so here's what I just uploaded right here. Okay, and so I have the option, as you can see, to open, since it was created in PowerPoint, and I have PowerPoint on my computer, I can open it with PowerPoint if I want to, or I can also open it with Google Slides. I can open it with Keynote, which is a Mac program that comes on the Macs already. And let me see what happens if I open it with Google Slides. Let's see how it works. It's probably converting it right now since it was originally in PowerPoint format. Oh, and there we go. And so it's taking a little time to convert itself. But as you can see, the whole presentation is still there. And so now I've taken a PowerPoint presentation, I've saved it to my drive. I can still download it as a PowerPoint, or I can use it in the Google format online and I can share it with other people. Okay, so again, if I want to share a link, okay, I want people to be able to view this but not edit it. I copy the link and then I can send it in an email if I want to. Okay, so that's how you do that. But so if you're taking things that have been sent to you at another email address, I would just go ahead and download them to your computer and then upload them to your drive. And then you can convert them or not convert them. And so if I look at this right now, let's see, where is it right now? Right now it's just in my drive. So let's say I want to move it to a specific folder in my drive. So I'm going to hit move this item, and then my drive. Now I see all my folders, right? So if I want to put it in that folder I just created, I'll click that folder and hit move. Okay, and now it's still in my drive, but it's in that specific folder. And so if let me see if it disappears here when I refresh. Let's see if it's still over here by itself. It should not be, I believe. Oh, well, okay, you can still see it here, but it will also be in this folder. Yep, there it is. Cool. Are there any questions so far about any of those last things? Okay, not seeing any. I will continue. So another thing that you can do, so I just showed you converting from, for example, a PowerPoint to a Google slide. You can also convert, for example, a Google Doc into a Word doc. And the way that you do that is really easy. You go to File, and then you go Download As, and now you have all these different options. And so if I want to make it a Word document so that people who are not using Google can use it, or so that people can use it if they're not online, I would click Word Doc, Download as Word Doc, and now you can see it is saving as a Word doc, and when I open it, now you see I have a Word doc, and it even has the comment that I made on it. Okay, so you can go back and forth from Google Docs to Word docs, from PowerPoint to Google Slides, and Google Slides to PowerPoint. So if I want to download as a PowerPoint, even though I already have it saved as a PowerPoint, but just to give you an example, now it is downloading it as a PowerPoint. And when it's finished, I would be able to open it in PowerPoint. So it's really easy to go back and forth from one to the other, and it's a really convenient way of collaborating. Okay, and then let me just check if there are any. Okay, please feel free to put questions in the chat box at any time. I'm going back and checking periodically, so you can also unmute yourself to ask questions if that's easier for you. Okay, and so just to quickly look at spreadsheets. So let's say now I want to create a new spreadsheet in here. I'm going to go to New. Actually, I'm going to do this a different way just to give you an example. So let me go back to my drive. And I'm going to, here I'm just in my drive in general, I'm going to create a new sheet. Okay, and I'm going to use this sheet to, let's say I'm starting a database of people that I'm working with on a project, for example. So let's see, the information I want to capture, let's say first name, last name, phone number, email. Okay, so some common stuff. And I want to be able to sort the sheet later. So what I want to go ahead and freeze this first row so that it's always at the top of the sheet no matter what. So I'm going to go to View, Freeze, one row. And now this row will stay the same. And I'm going to make it a different color just so that it's clear that that's the header. And let's say I know the names are going to be longer than the phone numbers, so I'm going to spread this out a little bit to make more space. The emails are going to be longer too. Spread this out just a little bit more like that. Okay, and then let's say I want to type Jane Doe @gmail.com, and then her husband John. And then just going to make someone up. Okay, so now I've got a few things in here. So let's say I want to organize this sheet by last name. I can go here, sort sheet A to Z. And now I've got Max Alexander on top because his last name starts with A. But let's say I want to sort it by first name. Go back here. Now Jane is back on top. So that's you can sort it. And as you notice, no matter what I do, or I can make it go backwards, starting with the last one last. So no matter what I do, this first bar doesn't change because I froze it. So that's something you'll want to do if you're using these to create to capture data. So I'm going to call this one data. Okay, now so the changes are saved in my drive, but I want them to go in that folder, right? So how am I going to do that? Well, where is that file? There's so much stuff here, I'm having trouble finding it. Let me just search here, data. I'm going to search. Might take a minute because, okay, so this is the sheet I just created. And I am, let's see, so if I want to, by doing that, I just do the, well, on the Mac it's Control click, and I think on the PC it would be right click. And I'm going to go to Move To. Okay, and so again, in my drive, I want to find a specific folder. Let's see, what folder do I want? This one, the one I just created, the Google training. The Google tool presentation, I move it, and now when I go back here, open that folder, and here it is. So I've got my Google Doc that I created, which has been shared. So if you see these two little people here, that means that it's been shared. I have my presentation, which I have shared, and I have this sheet, which I have not shared yet. Now, let's say that I want to let's say I want to share the entire folder because this is a project that I'm working on with my regional chapter, and everybody that is working on it with me needs access to all of this information. So if I go to my folder here, I see share. Okay, and so I can enter the names. So let's say I want to share this with Wahida and Vanessa and Arnita. Okay, so I'm going to share it with them, but I want them to be able to organize, add, and edit. That means I'm going to give them this privilege. That means they can add more files to the folder, and I'll be able to see them. It means they can make changes to any of the documents in the folder. And so if I want them to have that kind of control over the contents of the folder, I will leave it on edit. Let's say I just want them to be able to look at the stuff and download it, but I don't want them to be able to make changes. In that case, I would click Can View Only, and you'll see this little eyeball here. It means they can view or print the final files, but they won't be able to make any changes. So depending on how much access you want to give people, you can do that. Or again, you can do the shareable link. And then you can change the settings here that people can edit or people can view, and then you would copy that link. You can use that and then send it in an email or whatever it is that you want to, whatever way you want to share it. I'm going to cancel that so they don't keep getting random emails of stuff from me. Okay, and now when you'll see here that the folder has been shared. You see the little people, that means it's been shared. And then next to my name here, you see owner, and that just means that I created the folder. So I'm the owner of it, but I've shared it with other people. Okay, and then just to, let's see if we have any questions. Okay, I see a question. Are you able to create a group email instead of having to partially name each one? Or is it better just to send a link when it's multiple people in the group? It's a good question. Let me see if I can share this with a group. I've never actually tried to do it this way, but I will find out right now. So let's say I want to share, so I can click on this. And so here you've got the option to get a shareable link or to share directly. So let me see if I put, oh, okay, it looks like you can. All right, so if I wanted to share the folder directly, for example, with the SCAT, I could just, and I know the group name or it's already saved in my contacts, I can put it in that way. Or again, you can just get the link and then send it in an email, whichever is more comfortable to you, and it may depend on if you're trying to share a lot of other information. Now, if you can't, you can put a note in here so that when the email goes out, they will see both the link and a note. Here's that project we're working on. Please feel free to add your files, okay? And so then if I send it, people will see the message and they will also get the link to open up the folder and work on it. I'm not going to send it because people will have no idea what I'm talking about. But that's how you would do that. Let's see. Okay, and let's one more quick exercise just to show you. So let's say that, for example, a little while ago, Nana sent me a new folder. This is for real. So she sent me a new folder. This is what the email looks like. Okay, so her message was per our discussion, the folder. And so she's invited me to contribute to this folder. So I'm going to, when I get this email, I'm going to open up the folder. Okay, and right now there's just one document in there. It's been shared with me, but I haven't added it to my drive yet. So let's say I close that out, I forget about it, and then later I think, oh shoot, what happened to that folder? What I can do is I can go here under my drive. If I go to shared with me, and it's organized by time. So now I see, oh, here's that folder that she shared with me at 12:35 p.m. And I can open that, and here it is. So if I go back here, I say this is important. I want to make sure this is in my drive so that when I go to look for it later, it's there. So what I'll do is click add to my drive. And now when I go back to my drive, now as you can see, I've got the member engagement folder in my drive. Are there any? Okay, so I see, I'm seeing some discussion here. Okay, so depending on what you're doing, it may be best to have a Google group set up already. Yeah, that's actually a good point, Alicia. If you are working let's say for our regional chapters, for example, most of them do have Google Groups already set up. If not, they are strongly encouraged to set up Google Groups. And there's a couple of different reasons for that. For one thing, it just facilitates contact and staying in touch with people without having to remember everyone's email or everyone's name. And for another thing, it also provides a certain amount of anonymity in the sense that not everyone will get the email, but everyone cannot see everyone else's name and email address. So sometimes people don't necessarily want their email address out there in the universe for anyone random to collect and start spamming or give to other people. And so that way, people cannot see a list of emails when the email lands in their box. They can just see that it was sent to that group. So it's a really good idea to have that set up if you're a regional chapter or if you're working with another group of people on any kind of project. It's good to have a list set up, but you don't necessarily have to. You can put in name by name or email by email. You can get the link and just send it out in an email. So sort of whatever is, depending on what you're doing and how many people you're communicating with. And so Eva says, you must have the email already in your contacts. Yeah, and Alicia answered, no, you don't have to automatically have the email. You can type it in. And that is true. Yeah, you can type, if it's somebody that you've never connected with by email and they're not in your contact list, you can just type in the email address. And you can send it to people who don't have a Gmail, and they should be able to open it as well. I've just found that sometimes I've encountered difficulty when things have gone to a non-Gmail, and then I've had trouble getting into it. So it's always easier to have a Gmail for that. And one thing that you're going to want to, that actually reminds me, one thing you want to remember is because all of these tools are connected, your Gmail, your calendar, your documents, your Drive, because those things are all connected, you need to be logged into the Gmail account that the file was shared with, if it was shared directly, in order to be able to view it. So if it's a shareable link, anyone who has the link should be able to open it and look at it or edit it depending on what settings were put on there. But if you share it with specific email addresses, then only when someone is logged into that email are they going to be able to open it. So for example, if you have two separate Gmails, like I have a work Gmail and I have a personal Gmail that I don't really use, if somebody sent it to my personal Gmail and I'm not logged into it, I'm not going to be able to open that file. So that if you're having trouble opening a file and that was sent to you and you have multiple Gmails, you might want to check which one is logged in and try logging out and logging in with the correct one and see if that solves the issue. And Yolanda asked, how about on your phone? So like I said, if you use a smartphone, you should be able to open and view documents from your phone. And that should work with Androids or iPhones. But if it's an Android, it's already built in. If it's an iPhone, you might need to install the apps for Google Drive and a Gmail. But if you have an Android, it comes already installed. So you just want to make sure that you have the app on your phone and that you are logged in with the Gmail that you're using for whatever project it is or whoever is the address that someone has shared it with. So if you have multiple Gmails, just be mindful that you might have to log out and log back in depending on which address it was shared with. Does that answer your question, Yolanda? Okay, cool. Let's see, was there... Okay, and so just one final alternate way of finding things. I do this a lot. I should actually, as you can see, I should be better about organizing my Drive because I do have a lot of just kind of random loose ends. But if you are looking for something that was shared with you recently, let's say, there's another way of finding it outside of your Drive. So if you go to, I'll just start from here. So let's go here, and then if you keep scrolling down, you'll see Google Docs. Okay, and now I've got, when I open the Google Docs homepage, what I can see is the docs that I've opened sort of in the order that I've opened them in. So if I'm looking for something that I was working on really recently, like today, okay, there's the one I was just working on. Here's the training outline. If I'm looking for something from yesterday, I can find it here. Something from 7 days ago, can find it here. So this is another way of just quickly finding something. This is a lot more useful if you're looking for something that you were working on recently. It's a lot less useful if you're looking for something from 6 months ago. So that's why it's always a good idea to go ahead and add things to your drive. Even if you don't have time to organize it immediately, at least it will be in your drive so you can find it later. And again, you can search for things as well. So I want to find election stuff. Okay, oh, here's that folder. Okay, and then there's stuff in here. And then another tool that you might be interested in using, if you haven't already used it. How many of you guys have used Google Hangouts before? Okay, Alicia says yes. So Google Hangouts is just another way, it's a way of chatting with people, so it's sort of just like a chat group. So, you know, you can start a new conversation with somebody who's in your contacts. I won't do it right now, but let's see. Anyway, you can start a new conversation with somebody. And this works also, you can do video calls, you can do phone calls, and you can do chats, which are messages. And if you have an Android, this will already be built into and installed on your phone. If you have an iPhone, I think you can download the app, but then you can do it on your phone as well. And so if you're doing a messaging, it's sort of like a group text, and you can add as many people as you want, but you can also do video calls, and you can have multiple people on at the same time. So, for example, if you're a regional chapter, but you're statewide and you all live far apart, this would be a way that if you want to kind of see each other face-to-face, you can use a Google Hangout and then do a video call, or you can even just have a chat box so that you can, you know, message each other periodically as you're working. So that's something that you might find useful, especially if you're working with people that do not live close enough to meet, you know, in person on a regular basis. And sometimes you may just want to do that because it's easier than everybody having to go somewhere. So that's another tool that we use a lot, and you might find it helpful. But again, for that, the people will need a Gmail. So if you're going to, you know, use a group that way, everyone who's part of that group should have a Gmail that they can use for that. Oh, and I did tell you I was going to show you how to forward email. So if you have, for example, let's say you use Yahoo as your regular email, but you want to use the Google tools, so you set up a Gmail account, but you want to keep using your Yahoo as your main account. What you'll want to do is, once you're in your Gmail, go to the settings bar here, the settings, go down to settings, and then you're going to see all these different labels at the top. If you go to forwarding and pop IMAP, I don't even really understand what all the pop and IMAP stuff is about, but what you can do is have your email forwarded, and it's actually the first thing here. So to add a forwarding address, let's say I want it to go to my Yahoo. Okay, whoops, I'm already having it forwarded there. Okay, let's say I want it to go to my other Gmail account. Okay, and so it's forwarding mail to JennieSmith628@gmail.com. Proceed. Okay, and what I did, it sent a confirmation code to my other email account. And if I go log into that email account and click confirm, then my mail will start being forwarded. And the reason why that would be useful is that if, let's say, you're working on a project collaboratively, or you're going to be chatting with people, that way you'll get notified at your regular email account when someone shares a file with you, for example, and you won't have to wait for them to text you or call you and be like, hey, I sent you this thing, can you look at it? You'll get that email automatically in your other email account. so that will allow you to use all the functions of the Google tools without actually changing your main email account. Okay, cool. So I think we've kind of gone through everything so far. Are there other questions or other things you would like to take a look at? How do you change it back? How do you change what back? You're forwarding email. I'm not exactly sure what you mean. If you want to come off mute and ask, or if you want to type it in, you mean like to not have it forwarded anymore? Okay. So let's say I want to stop forwarding my email. Let's go here, forwarding. Okay, and so here it shows that my Gmail that I'm logged into right now is being forwarded to this address and to this address. Actually, I haven't entered the confirmation code yet, but if I went to my Yahoo and got the confirmation code and clicked verify, then the mail would be forwarded. And that's actually a good point to note, that you will need to go into that other email account and get that confirmation code and verify before it will start getting forwarded. So if I want to do that, I'll go ahead and send the confirmation code and click verify. If I didn't get that email or I missed the email and can't find it with the confirmation code, I can click resend email and get the code again to verify. Or if I decided, you know what, I actually don't want this email being forwarded to this address, I can just click remove address. And do you want to remove it? Yes. Okay, and I actually don't want it forwarded to my other Gmail either, so I can just click remove address. And now it's not being forwarded anywhere. And then they say you can also forward some of your mail by creating a filter. And so if you, let's say that you just want email from certain people, let's say I want email from Nana to go to this other email, or I want anything with the word election to go to the email. Then I can create a filter. Okay, and then when a message arrives that matches the search, I can either have it just go into archives, I can have it go into my email but apply this label, so put it in a folder basically. I can have it forwarded if I have a forwarding address. Okay, so I would have to go back and put, okay, I'm going to do this, have it forwarded, okay, and then if I wanted to, let's see, all right, well, I would have to go in and verify it, but anyway, you can create a filter so that you don't get all of the email that goes in there, but maybe you just get email from the people that you're working with, for example. And when people send you links to things that they've been working on, for example, on this one, it should be coming from their email address. So it's coming from, for example, this is coming from Nana's email address. So if I created that filter where I wanted things that Nana sent to be forwarded to my Yahoo address, by putting in her email address, that should work to just have those things forwarded. But depending how many people you're working with, you may or may not want to do that. Okay, cool. Other questions? And you can also take yourself off mute if you want, if you don't want to type or you're not in front of a keyboard to type on. Otherwise, let's see, let me try and find what I was looking for here. Okay, I found it. So, as you can see, I created a little homework exercise. Obviously, this is totally optional, but if you're kind of new to using these tools and you would like to practice, without, sending random weird things to people. This is a way for you to practice and send them to me. And of course, I'll know exactly what it is and why you're sending it, and I'll let you know if I got it and that it worked. So this is a training practice. So I'm basically kind of asking you to do the things that we just looked at today. So logging in through google.com or setting up a new Gmail. Actually, let me change that to Gmail since it's specific. Following the instructions at sign in. Okay, and then you click the 9 square icon that would be up here. Select the drive, create a new folder, name it training, share the training folder with me. And it doesn't have to be in this order, of course, but then create a new doc within the training folder, name it homework 1, type some information or whatever you feel like typing, create a new Google Sheet, and then set up the top row with labels, name that sheet homework 2, share the sheet with me, move the sheet into your training folder. So there's just a few little practice exercises if you feel like practicing without making people wonder what you're doing and why. So what I'm going to do is share this with you guys right now. So I'm going to change the setting to view so people can't accidentally delete it or change it. And then I'm going to copy that link. I hit copy link, and now it's copied to my clipboard. And I'm going to go into our chat box. And let me see if I can actually type in this chat box. And it's all the way down here. Okay, sorry. Okay, now I just shared the link to that document that I was just working on with the little homework assignment. So anyone who is new to Google Docs and wants a little bit of practice, feel free to click that link. And then you'll have that exercise right there, and you can do those things that are on this page. Are there any questions? And it gives a useful opportunity. So you see these little things that the little things that are popping up. What that means is that other people are looking at the same document right now, and if there are people that are in your contacts, and you'll see, for example, their picture if they have one, you'll see a letter for their name. If you see ones that are like this, that just means that you don't have their contact information. Okay, that these are just kind of little anonymous ones. But yeah, if it's somebody that you have in your contacts, usually you can see their picture if they're logged into Gmail. And if you give other people editing access, it's kind of interesting because you'll be able to watch other people typing in real time. So you can, you'll be working and you can see other people typing and you'll see their name underneath it. So cool. I'm glad. It looks like people got some useful hints out of here. I'm happy to take any questions or show you anything else that you might be interested in seeing before we log off. So just either type it in the chat box or unmute yourself and let me know. Oh, great. Thanks. I'm glad that this is okay, so I see from Janet, how do you save this? Okay, so there's a few different ways. Janet, you can either, if you want to save it to your drive, because you've already got your drive set up, then what you'll do is come here to your drive and share it with me. Okay, so if you have, let's say you have a file here that was shared with you, and you want to put it in your drive. Let's say I want to add this one to my drive. I can either drag it and drop it into my drive. Okay. And now it's here. I think that was the World AIDS Day event. I just saw it scroll by. So it's here. And let's say I want to move that into a different folder. Let's say I want to put it in here. I can drag it and drop it. Moving this item will share it with everyone who can see this shared folder. Okay. So that's one way you can drag and drop. And again, that's if you have a drive already set up and you go to shared with me. That's one way you can find it. But let's say you want to save it as a Word document because you're going to do something else with it later, or it's just easier for you to save it that way. You can go here to File, go to Download As, and then you can download it as a Word document, and you can see now I've got it as a Word document. Or you can also download it as a PDF. And now it's a PDF, which means I can't change it. So when it was a Word document, I can change it. If as a PDF, I cannot. Okay, so I hope that helps. Does that answer your question, Janet? Well, thanks. And so Alicia asked, will the training be on the PWN site? Yes. So I am recording this, and so once any meeting finishes doing what it does, it processes the audio and puts it together. Once that's done, which usually takes about 24 hours, I will put it up. So I'll do my very best to have it up in the next day or two as soon as it's ready. And yeah, so that's it. Are there any other questions or anything else anyone wants to see? And just know also that anytime you're working with these tools, if you have any questions or you're having trouble with something, or you think maybe there's a better way to do it that you're not sure about, you can always send me an email, and I will answer your question to the best of my ability. So if you don't already know my email, I can't. Okay, I'm actually gonna stop screen sharing because I'm having trouble seeing the bottom of the chat box here. Oh, okay, and I'm seeing from Alicia, Google Draw is cool because you can actually draw and use the generated shapes for graphs. I am going to check that out now because I didn't even really know it existed, but it sounds pretty cool. So I'm going to check it out, and maybe the next training I'll be able to show you a little bit more about Google Draw. But hopefully this will at least help you get started for any projects that you're collaborating on. And so I'm putting my email down here. Whoops. Putting my email in the chat box, but it's also here on this document. So anytime you get stuck or you just want to know if there's a better way or whatever the case may be, do feel free just to shoot me an email and I will do my best to answer it. And I don't always know the answers, but I'm pretty good at Googling the answers. So that's a way to get in touch with me. So any more questions before we log off? All right, well, it looks like, let's see. Yep. Okay, it looks like we're good. So again, good luck using these. They're actually really easy once you know kind of how to get started. Please feel free to do the little homework exercise, and if I get files from you, I will write you back and let you know that I got them and that it worked. So I hope that you will find it useful in your work. 2017 is going to be a busy year with a lot to fight for, so hopefully this helps you collaborate with other people, whether you're in a regional chapter or some other kind of network or organization. Hopefully this will help you kind of streamline what you're doing. So with that, I wish everybody a good day and happy holidays if I don't talk to you or communicate with you before the end of the year. And I will see you in 2017. Thank you, everyone, for being here.